Yeah, the company didn't really understand on the billing of scale, so they were using Excel spreadsheets and sending those in. So the time it took to code and to pay an invoice, even internally through the yard, was a long time. You almost had one body just doing billing. With Pointer Rental, what that can do is automate that process, and we've been able to condense the billings into one billing each month for the job sites, and that really saves a lot of time and money for us. So one of the things that really affects contractors is having to stop a certain amount of rental when you're on a job site. So you have to you can't charge more than a certain percentage of what the unit costs. So we had to really go in with Pointer Rental, work with them on a modification, and get a report that shows us where we're at in that revenue stream. To be able to make sure we shut off and fulfill our contractual obligations to our owners. So working with them, we developed the system, and then we still work on reports and do tweaks on reports to make that report more efficient for our people who do that manual cap process. Probably about a year and a half after I started, we really saw a volume increase in our construction business. We also invested over $1 million in our fleet. And just that sheer amount of investment was huge to be able to manage, and then also to track the costs and the pricing and the maintenance and the repair of those items. Something that we hadn't done before as a company, and we saw that through fruition through some calculators that we had built. And the really cool thing is after we got done with our first couple years, we input the data from Pointer Rental back into our calculators, and everything proved out right. So we were thinking along the same lines. The math matched up between Pointer Rental and what we were expecting to see a return on. So that was really good to see. And that was really the point where we grew and knew we needed rental software like this. It helps us make buying decisions on what equipment we should buy or what equipment we shouldn't buy and we should rent from a third party. So that data is really the driver for what helps us, and that's been an impressive thing where we can just go into that really quick, pull our utilization stats, get the information how many times we've rented that unit, and see if it's worth us investing more into those assets. I'd say the favorite thing I have about Pointer Rental is probably being able to go in and just seeing the amount of equipment that we have now, and being able to look at that in certain snapshots of what temp power gear we have, what forklifts we have, being able to look at that historical data and play with those numbers and see what's happening. That's really the kind of cool thing that I find that is more fun, to look at the back end numbers, look at what's going on, but then also learning about how the database works and SQL database. And that's kind of been a really fun project for me. I didn't have a lot of experience in it before, but every time I play with it, I gain that experience to kind of grow in my knowledge of what drives Pointer Rental stuff. I would definitely recommend Pointer Rental. I would definitely have some guidelines for them to help set it up correctly in the first place, especially for a construction company. I think that's the biggest challenge for our industry, is setting it up properly the first time, making sure that you have all your ducks in a row and you understand how the software works before you go live and implement it in your job site and in your system at your company.